ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, I welcome all of you for coming today. And I believe that although this is a fairly short course, it will be this week and next week, I believe it will be beneficial along the same lines as the hermeneutics course. I say that because it is good to have a break every now and then from grueling knowledge and from some of the high-level subjects that we've been speaking on, but every now and then it is necessary, it is imperative for us to take a very strong position towards knowledge and towards the points of knowledge and towards using our knowledge to the best of our ability. It's very important. It's also important to understand some of the actual problems that exist in our midst. And those problems that exist in our midst have to do with false teachers, some of them. Some of them have to do with false teachers. False teachers. Here's what I mean by that. Within the last several years, we have seen an increase in atheism, an increase in so-called rational sciences. But at the same time, that has not diminished people's belief in supernatural events and paranormal occurrences. It hasn't changed that. There are still people who very deeply believe in certain superstitions. For example, the number 13 being bad. That's why in the United States they don't have floors with the number 13. There are also other problems where there have been some who have manifested what appear to be miracles and have begun to be followed. Although it seems ridiculous to mention him, but I'll be mentioning him in the second lecture, Satya Sai Baba has over 15 million followers, some of whom are Muslim. And the reason why is because he manifested these wondrous characteristics in which the Muslims thought, if it's real, it must be true. This is what some of the Muslims thought. If it's real, it must be true. That is what they thought. And this is a mistake, because everything that is real does not mean that it will be true. This is a mistake. Everything that is real is not true. And at times you may see something miraculous from someone, but the nature of that thing may not be originating from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's part of what we want to talk about. And we want to take a closer look at these things so we don't fall prey to them. The sources that I wanted to use tonight are, I think, one of the best compilations that could ever be used in regards to talking about miracles. One text we're going to be looking at is Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani rahimahullah, who died in 561 AH or 1166 AD. He was a master Hanbali theologian. He's considered one of the great saints of Islam. He wrote a text that dealt with this issue of miracles. And he spoke about them at length. I mean, most of his books have a few chapters at least talking about this issue of miracles. And he's very, very good in terms of the knowledge that he's collected. Number two is we have Imam Muhyiddin Baha'uddin, who was a great Ottoman Hanafi scholar. He wrote a commentary on the Fiqh al-Akbar of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. And that text of Fiqh al-Akbar is one of the greatest theological masterpieces ever put to pen, and was written by Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah and commented upon by numerous scholars. One of the scholars that commented upon that was this Imam here, an Ottoman theologian. Another is Burhanuddin al-Laqani, rahimahullah, who was a Maliki scholar. He was an Azharite, a teacher in their theological department, and a man of sound principles. And he wrote a book called Jawharat al-Tawheed, the quintessence of Tawheed. And he's going to be dealing with this issue as well. I'm going to be using some of his things. Imam Abdul Ghani al-Maydani, who was also a great Ottoman Hanafi scholar, he wrote a text called Bayan al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah, which is the explanation and speech of the Orthodox, which is a commentary on Al-Aqidah al-Tahawiyah, the great theological work that we've quoted from numerous times. His work is very timely, because in the time that he came in, and the other Ottoman theologians, when the Salafis first came to power, one of the first things they did is the denial of miracles and supernatural occurrences. That was one of the first things that happened by Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, was the actual full-blown denial of saintly miracles. That was one of the first things. And Imam Abdul Ghani al-Laqani rahimahullah blew him out of the water in terms of preaching the faith, and blew his followers out of the water in terms of bringing evidences, proof after proof after proof. He was a very sound preacher. Finally, we have Imam Ibrahim al-Bajuri rahimahullah, who was also a Shafi'i scholar, who also refuted the same position of denial of miracles and supernatural occurrences. So we're going to be actually, what I've done is we're going to be taking a look at their works, but from a slightly different way. What I've done is I've taken all of their texts and I've distilled them down into where we have the 4 pages that's in front of us. That's what I've done. I've distilled everything. The evidences, though, remain in their place, and the terminologies remain in their place, and we need to know these so as not to be taken in by some charlatan, by some false prophet, by some false imam, some false wali, some false teacher. It's important for us to know these. Now, I've been using this word, wondrous occurrence, sign. And there are many different forms of wondrous occurrences. Many different forms. Some of them evil, some of them good. Because a wondrous occurrence is just something that happens that is out of the ordinary, that is not within the normal bounds of reality that we know. So, for example, someone being able to fly, a human being being able to fly without the aid of an airplane or any of those other things that we would need in order to fly. He flies by himself without the need of those agencies. Or a human being dies and someone comes and tells him to get up, and for all intents and purposes we thought he was dead, and he stands back up and walks away. These are supernatural occurrences that in their essence can be evil, or in their essence can be good. And we need to be able to analyze those sources to find out how we can look at the essence of that to find out when it is evil and when it is not. The types of supernatural occurrences are the mu'jiza, irhas, ma'una, karrama, ihana, istidraj, and sihr. I will not, and I will try to control myself in making this class 7 weeks long. I'm going to try to control myself and not do that. Because I realize the level of difficulty that there is. The hermeneutics class was very good, but at the same time it took a lot of energy out of us. I'm going to try to distill things down to where it's just this class and the class after, but at the same time to still include the most important information that I think we need. So what we will do is we will cover the positive forms of ayat, the positive forms of wondrous occurrences of signs first, and then in the second lesson we will deal with the negative forms, the magic and the false miracles given by false teachers or charlatans. We'll cover that. Now the first thing we have is a mu'jiza. A mu'jiza. A mu'jiza is a wondrous thing that is manifested on the hand of a messenger or a prophet that gives strength or emphasis to his call and incapacitates and challenges his opponents who are not able to come with the like of it. That is a mu'jiza. So a prophet or a messenger arrives and he says, believe in me, I've brought the truth from Allah. And they say, show us the sign. And he manifests a sign, the like of which they had not seen, and the like of which they are not able to come with. That is a mu'jiza.